I need to wake up. We all need to wake up. This is a time of awakening for all of us. We've been talking about the Great Awakening for months now, even back into last year, 2020, and we continue to talk about the Great Awakening. We continue to recognize and realize that we all need to wake up. This is a time to wake up. This is not a time for us to be asleep. Also, let's take a breath together as we move into this part of our service. The theme for the month of January is release, recapture, reclaim. Release, recapture, reclaim. And last week we were dealing with the release portion when we talked about surrender, and we dealt with the idea of releasing and letting go of those things that take our focus away from our own lives and those things that are important to us, and take all of our attention and our energy, and being willing to surrender those things. And today we're focusing on the recapture portion of the monthly theme. Recapture, to recover, to renew, to uncover, to rediscover. And that's not trying to recover a previous life or a previous way of living. It is a matter of just recovering, rediscovering our true nature, our true selves, who we really are. Rediscovering our authentic selves. That's what we are looking at when we're looking at recapturing who we are, recapturing the essence of our being. And so today my topic is clarify, clarify, clarify. Clarify, clarify, clarify. Make clear, make understandable, make less confusing or not confusing at all. And what I'd like us to really clarify, to really look at this week and throughout the month, but particularly this week, is clarifying our beliefs. Clarifying our beliefs. What do you really believe? What do you really believe? Our theme for the year is Dare to Believe. What do we really believe? Ernest Holmes says that the science of mind teaches that spirit is limitless, but it can only be to us what we believe it to be. And why must we believe? Because if we are not believing that it is, then we're believing that it is not. If we're not believing that it is limitless, we're believing that it is not. It doesn't matter what we say so much as what we believe when we're saying it that really counts, because it is done unto us as we believe. So I think it's really important for us to focus right now, really clearly at the beginning of the year. This is sort of getting back to basics. What do you really believe? What do you really believe? Clarify your beliefs. What do you really believe? And I want you to look at 3 or 4 things. What do you really believe about God? Let's start out with that. What do you really believe about God? Do you really believe that God is limitless? Do you really believe that God is all that there is? Do you really believe that God is the source of us all, that God is everywhere present in the midst of everything? These are things that we say readily, quickly in the science of mind. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? So really think about, really consider, really meditate on, really, really, really be mindful of, and dig deep into what do you really believe? What do you really believe about God? What do you really believe about a relationship with God, having a relationship with God? What do you believe about that? What do you believe about your relationship with God? What do you believe about your relationship with God? Do you believe that you can have a relationship with God? Do you believe that you do have a relationship with God? And it's important for us to clarify our beliefs, because our beliefs dictate our decisions, the decisions that we make in our lives, and the choices that we make in our lives. Our choices and our decisions are determined by our beliefs. And that can be unconscious beliefs or conscious beliefs, conscious choices or unconscious choices. Because whatever our beliefs are, our choices are consistent with that. If you believe that you're separate from God, then the choices you make are going to be choices that make you believe even more that you're separate, that prove that you're separate from God, prove to you that you're separate from God. If you believe that you're at one with God, then the choices and decisions that you make will be consistent with your belief that you are at one with God, that God is right where you are always, always. And so what do you really believe about God? And that's what I really want you to focus on this week. What do you really believe about God? What does God really mean to you? What does having God in your life really mean to you? What does being at one with God really mean to you? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that God is everywhere present? And so I want you to really focus on, what do you really believe about God? And then secondly, I want you to focus on, what do you really believe about yourself? What do you really believe about yourself? What do you really believe about yourself? When we believe that we are worthy of all the good in life, when we believe that we deserve all the good that there is, that good is our birthright, then we make decisions and we make choices according to that belief. When we believe that we are unworthy, when we believe that we are not enough, then the choices that we make somehow play out so that that belief is confirmed. It may be unconscious, that we an unconscious choice that we're making. It may be an unconscious decision, but we make decisions that are consistent with whatever our belief is. And so whatever it is you're believing about yourself, if health is something that you want, then what do you believe about health for you? What do you believe about yourself and health? Are you worthy of being healthy? Is it possible for you to be healthy? What do you believe about it? What do you believe about it? If abundance is what you want, if prosperity is what you want, if a great relationship is what you want, what do you believe about that? Clarify your beliefs about yourself. Clarify your beliefs about whether you deserve a wonderful relationship, whether you deserve to be debt-free, whether you deserve to be abundant, whether you deserve to really live the life and the belief that all that the Father hath is mine. Do you really believe that all the Father hath is mine? And if you do, are you living that way? Are you living that way? And so just really examining your belief about yourself. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? And then the next thing to really be considerate of is, what do you believe about oneness? What do you believe about oneness? Do you believe that you are one with God? Do you believe that God is your very life? Do you believe that there's nothing that can separate you from God? That there's nothing that that there's no spot where you can be where God is not? Do you really believe that? We say that, but do you believe that? Do you live like you believe that? Do you act like you believe that? What do you believe about oneness? What do you believe about oneness? If God is the only power and the only presence and the one life, then God is a life of you, God is a life of me, God is a life of us all. And so as we go through this time, as we go through the events of this past week, that was so upsetting and so devastating for the entire country, for the entire world, really, but for the entire country, for each one of us individually, how does oneness fit into all that? What did you believe about oneness as we went through this past week? What were your beliefs about other people? What were your beliefs about these people, those people, us, our community? Did you move into that them and us consciousness? Did you move into the them and us way of thinking, the way of being? Did you move into blaming and judging? Or were you able to see oneness in the midst of all of that? Were you able to see the presence of God in the midst of everything that was going on? What do you really believe about the presence of God in the midst of chaos? What do you really believe? What do you really believe about the presence of God when everything around you appears to be showing the absence of God? What do you really believe? What did you find yourself talking about? What did you find yourself thinking? How did you find yourself responding, reacting? What did you really believe about peace? What did you really believe about harmony? What did you really believe about all of us being in this life together? What do you really believe? Clarify your beliefs. Because as we clarify our beliefs, we get real clear about how we want to move forward in our lives. We get real clear about how we want to move forward in our lives. Were you able to look at the events of this week and say that in the midst of everything, God is? In the midst of everything, God is. in the midst of whatever the appearance may be, in the midst of all the turmoil, that the power and the presence of God is the only power, the only presence, the only life, the only love. Were you able to really believe that? Were you really able to see that? Or did you fall back into looking at the appearances, fall back into believing in what you were seeing? What do you really believe? And once we look at what we really believe, we have to be honest and just say, what do I believe about this? What do I really believe about? Do I believe that God is in the midst of all this? Do I believe that God is at the very center of that person? Do I believe that that person, that God is the life of that person, or those people, or these people, or whatever the case may be? The same God is the God of us all. Do I believe that God is in the midst? I think that is really, really important for us to really, really, really look at. What do we really believe? What do we really believe about oneness? And how are we living out that belief about oneness? And if we don't know what we believe, look at how we're living. Look at decisions that we're making. Look at things that we're talking about. Look at the choices that we're making. The choices that we're making. What did you do when things started to happen on Wednesday as the situation at the Capitol began to unfold? What did you do? What the first thing you did was to watch the TV and be glued to it all day and to really get upset about all the things that were going on? Were you able to go into prayer? Were you able to just be in that place of peace at the very center of your being? Were you torn between both? Just how did you respond? Because our response also reflects our beliefs. Our initial response may have been one thing, and then the belief would bring us back to, if you really believe in oneness, the belief in oneness will bring us back to center. In the midst of chaos, belief in oneness will bring us back to center. In the midst of fear, belief in oneness will bring us back to center. Anytime there's something that's a threat of harm, then you know what? We begin to realize that we are all in this life together, that there's only one life. There's only one power. And threats of harm can be natural equalizers. We begin to realize that we're all in this together. When we looked at what was happening at the Capitol, all those people inside the Capitol, we're all in that together, regardless of political party, ideology, or whatever. They were all in that together. Those people outside were all in that together. And if anything had really happened that was devastating, and anything more that was really devastating, everybody was going to be affected by it. Everybody was going to be consumed by it. Everybody was. And it just proved what Martin Luther King said, that we have to all learn that we have to live in this world together as brothers. We live in this world together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools. I think that what happened on Wednesday helped us to really see that we have to learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. We're in this life together. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? If you believe that, then what do you do about that? What can you do differently than what you're doing right now? How can you live differently? What kinds of decisions and choices can you make that will really make a difference? What kinds of decisions and choices can you make right now that will really make a difference? First of all, like I said, clarify your beliefs to find out exactly what it is you believe. What is it? What it is? Because all of these go together. What you believe about God and your relationship with God, and whether or not you have a relationship with God. What you believe about yourself, and whether you are worthy of that relationship with God. Whether you are worthy of all that the Father has. Whether you are worthy of living a life of peace and experiencing the allness and the fullness of God. And whether or not you believe that there's only one life, and that we're all a part of that one life. We're all a reflection of that one life. We're all a reflection of that one power and that one presence. We are all guided. We're all directed. We are all protected. That one power, that one presence is available to each and every one of us. It is the life of each and every one of us. And it can only express through us to the degree that we are open and available to it. It can only express through us and as us to the degree that we believe, to the degree that we believe that we are one with it. And then when we believe that we are one with it, we start to act accordingly. And so really start this week to examine your beliefs, examine how you're living your life, examine where you want to go from here, examine what you'd like your life to look like. Examine what you'd like your life to look like. And when I say examine, I mean clarify. Clarify, get real clear. Spend some time getting clear. Get clear about what you believe. Get clear about what you believe, and you do that by looking at what you're experiencing right now. Get real clear about that, because the clearer we get about that, then we can start to make some decisions. And that's the fourth thing that I come to, and that is, are you willing to change? Are you willing to change? Are you willing to change your beliefs? And the way we change our beliefs is, first of all, by being honest and being really, really mindful of what we believe, what we're believing, what we're thinking, because our beliefs come from our thinking. Our beliefs, our thinking cut grooves into our brain. They create grooves into our brain, paths of grooves into our brain that make us act accordingly, make us believe certain things. That's how beliefs are formed. The way that we continuously think about whatever it is, continuous thinking. And that brings us back to the basic science of mind principle thing: change your thinking, change your life. When you change your thinking, you change your beliefs. And but by continuing to be aware of what you're thinking, be mindful of what you're thinking about everything. Be mindful of what you're thinking about God. Be mindful of what you're thinking about yourself. Be mindful of what you're thinking about your neighbor. Be mindful of what you're thinking about other people. Be mindful of all that. And as we are mindful of those things, then we get a chance to really look at, oh, that's what I believe. I don't want to believe that. I want to believe something different. And once we recognize what we believe in, then we have an opportunity to change it. And when we begin to change our beliefs, then we begin to change our lives. We begin to make decisions and make choices according to what our beliefs are, according to what our new beliefs are. Once we clarify those beliefs, then we stop being hijacked by change. We stop being hijacked by change, and we start to be embraced by the changeless. We stop being hijacked by change, and we start to be embraced by the changeless. We stop being hijacked by the appearances, and we start to be embraced by the truth. We stop being hijacked by that which is seen, and we start to be embraced by that which is unseen. We stop being hijacked by that which is known, and we start to be embraced by that which is unknown. By that which is unknown. We start to be embraced by that, the unknown within us. We start we stop being hijacked by pain, which is what we have seen a lot of, and we continue to see a lot of this going on right now. We stop being hijacked by pain, and we start to be embraced by vision. We start to be embraced by vision. And when we continue to clarify, when we continue to look at our beliefs, when we continue to see exactly what got us to where we are right here, right now, then we can make a decision. Do I want to change? Am I willing to change? Am I willing to walk forward in a different way? Am I willing to live the life that I was created to live? Am I willing to be all that I was created to be? Am I willing to live in oneness? Am I willing to live in oneness with myself, first of all? First of all, after, of course, living in oneness with God, because when we believe in oneness with God, then we have to be willing to live in oneness with ourselves and oneness with each other, regardless of how we all appear to be. Obviously we're all different. Obviously we have our uniqueness. Obviously we have our own individuality, but that has nothing to do with our oneness. Oneness does not mean uniformity. Am I willing to live in oneness? Am I willing to open myself up to see, as I've said before, the commonalities? Am I willing to see God in the midst of everything and to know that God is in the midst of everything? Do I believe that God is in the midst of everything? And so it's so important for us to really look at, what do I believe? Really clarify your beliefs this week. Really clarify your beliefs, whether or not you really believe that you are made in the image and likeness and out of God, and whether or not you really believe that everyone is made in the image and likeness and out of God. That's so important for us. That's so important for us. And so this week, I'm asking you to clarify, 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 and then clarify again. Get real clear. Spend some time getting clear about what you believe. Spend some time getting clear about what you believe about your relationship with God, getting clear about your relationship with yourself, getting clear about your relationship with others, what you believe about all that. And one thing that we can really use as sort of a barometer of our beliefs about your spiritual practice. If you really believe in the oneness, if you really believe in your relationship with God, if you really believe in having a relationship with God, then what kind of spiritual practice do you have? Does your spiritual practice reflect that? Do you believe that spiritual practice even works? We all say the right things, but do you believe it even works? Do you believe that prayer works? Do you believe that affirmations work? Do you believe that meditation helps? Do you believe it's even necessary to have a spiritual practice? Do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe? Really, really, really get clear about these things, because this is the only way that we move forward. Because as Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. And this is what we know. It is done unto you as you believe, whatever that belief may be, however false it may be, however true it may be, whatever it is done unto you as you believe. And so be willing to change your beliefs. Be willing to change your thinking. Be willing to, when you recognize that you're thinking something that really doesn't serve you, that is not for the highest and best, be willing to continue to replace that thought with a higher thought. Be willing to believe in the higher thought, taking precedence over everything. Be willing to believe in the all good, and to experience the all good in your life and in the lives of us all. Be willing to change your beliefs. Be willing to change your thinking. Be willing to change your life. Be willing to live life to the fullest. And when I say be willing to do that, I'm saying dare to believe. Dare to believe that you can live your highest and best life. Dare to believe that you can live as your authentic self, freely and completely. Be willing to believe, dare to believe that you can have the all good that has already been given to us. Dare to believe. Clarify your beliefs, and then dare to believe. Dare to believe if you're willing to change your life. Dare to believe that God is all there is. The only power, the only presence, the only life, the only mind. That God is right where you are always, guiding and directing, uplifting, protecting. Dare to believe that we can have it all. We can have a good life. We can have the best life. We can have oneness. We can live in oneness. Dare to believe all that. Start by clarifying what you're believing now. And then dare to believe in what it is you want, the kind of life you want to live, the kind of life you want to have. Dare to believe it all. And so I invite you to just take a breath as we are moving into this place this week of recapturing and reclaiming who we really are, our authentic selves, as we clarify our beliefs and become all that we were created to be. So let's turn within in this moment for prayer. Just moving into that place of knowing and sensing and feeling the presence of God. That one life, that one power, that one presence, that one mind, that one breath, that one activity that I choose to call God. But I know by whatever name we call it, that one is my very life. That one is the life of each of us. That one is the source of us all. That one is that within which I live and I move and I have my being. And it lives and it moves and it has its being in me. It lives and moves and has its being in each one of us. There's not a spot where God is not. There's not a place we can be where God is not. That presence of God is everywhere present. And so just knowing this truth, I speak the word for each of us this day. I just know that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of God itself. And that healing is happening on every level of our being, healing in our lives, whatever we may call that healing, whatever area we may call that, whether there's abundance that we need, whether it is prosperity, whether there's health, whether it is a fuller life, whether it is great relationships. God is in the midst, and healing is happening everywhere and in every situation, in every circumstance. I know that God is the great comforter, bringing comfort to those who are grieving, those who have lost loved ones, those who may be experiencing health issues, those who may be experiencing dire impact of COVID. Whatever the case may be, God is in the midst of everything. God is in the midst of everything, healing everything. I know that all needs are being met in each and every moment of each and every day. As we release the appearance and look to the truth that God is in the midst. God is in the midst of everything. And so I speak the word for all of us this day. Just speaking a word of wholeness and just knowing that as we open up and just allow wholeness to be revealed through us, then it shows up as whatever it is we need. That wholeness that is God shows up as whatever it is we need. And so I just pause momentarily as we speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each of them is, blessing and keeping them, healing broken hearts, healing bodies, healing relationships, healing minds, healing everything, everywhere. This is what the presence of God is. It is a healing presence. It is a wholeness presence. And this is what is reflected and experienced in each and every life. But God is in the midst of everything and everyone. And so this prayer goes out to anyone needing a prayer this day, just knowing that every situation, every circumstance, every event, God is in the midst of it. No matter what it looks like, no matter what we call it, God is in the midst of it. God is in the midst of it. God is in the midst of it. And I'm calling forth that wholeness that is God to be revealed in every situation and every circumstance. I know indeed that all is well, for I know indeed that all is God. And I just say, thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, infinite presence. Thank you, Divine Mother. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the blessings of our lives. And so it is.